Welcome in, everyone, to Lively Lewis Stories.
That's right, we're back with even more awesome adventures with Levi and Ivy.
Set your storytime meter to fun and get ready to join the Lively Lewis crew.
All you need is your imagination and...
Off we go! I can't wait to see where our story takes us today.
Have you ever wanted to get more Lively Lewis in your life?
Well, we've got you covered.
Grab an adult and zoom over to livelylewisshop.com.
Or just click on the link in our show notes.
Enough about that. Let's get to today's super Lively Lewis story.
I've got my snow boots, my snowboard, and my favorite winter hat. Levi listed out as he packed his suitcase. I also have my new snow gloves, my snow pants, and my super cool ski goggles. Levi then put on his snow goggles and pretended that he was skiing down a huge mountain. It was then that Ivy walked into his room. She giggled at what she saw, but couldn't help herself and joined in the fun. "Move over, Levi. I'm right behind you," called out Ivy as she pretended to be skiing down a huge snow-covered mountain too. Then Levi flopped onto his bed with a huge smile on his face. Still wearing his ski goggles, he turned to his sister with a look of magic in his eyes. "Ivy, I have a feeling that this vacation is going to be one that we'll never forget. Racing down snow-covered mountains, ice skating on glistening lakes, epic snowball fights, and gobbling up s'mores by an outdoor fire as we watch the snowfall? I can't wait." "I see someone's been reading the Snowy Mountain Lodge website," laughed Ivy. "But I agree with you too. It's going to be awesome, and I'm so excited too." After they were done packing their suitcases, the only thing left for Levi and Ivy to do was drive to the airport and set off for their winter Wonderland adventure. They barely slept that night, and as they drove to the airport, they talked more about this fantastic time they were going to have. "When we get to Snowy Mountain Lodge, let's head right to the ski lift and explore the mountain first," suggested Levi. "Or we could take a snowmobile down to the lake and check out the ice skating," exclaimed Ivy. "Or we could all check in together and go unpack our stuff in our room," added their mom with a smile, trying to make the boring vacation task sound fun. "You know what, Mom? I think Ivy and I will just be in your way," began Levi. "We'll leave the easy stuff like that to you and Dad, and Ivy and I will do the hard work. We'll check out the lodge and report back to you." Levi and Ivy's parents couldn't help but smile. They were so happy that their kids were excited for their vacation. It was the first time any of them had been to Snowy Mountain Lodge. They had only heard amazing things about it and couldn't wait to make their own fantastic memories. The flight seemed to last forever, and once the pilot announced that they would be landing soon, Levi and Ivy peered out of the plane window to see the snow-covered mountain range below. It looked unreal. As the mountain peaks glistened in the early morning sun, the whole world below began to look magical and full of fun. They couldn't wait to feel the cold snow in their hands and crunch it under their boots as they explored all that Snowy Mountain Lodge had to offer. Their time at the airport moved quickly, and after a short car ride, they arrived at the lodge, and it was even more amazing in person. "Wow!" exclaimed Levi as he stepped toward the lodge. Snowflakes were lightly falling all around him and Ivy, and it felt like it was a dream. The lodge towered over them as excited skiers, snowboarders, and ice skaters shuffled past them in all directions. But it only took a second to notice that the lodge looked small in comparison to the huge mountain behind it. "I can't wait to get up there," Ivy whispered to Levi as she pointed to the top of the snowy mountain. "Let's get going." Levi and Ivy grabbed their bags from the car and rushed inside the lobby. Their parents gathered up all the other luggage and met them inside. But by the time they did, Levi and Ivy had already been given a big welcome to Snowy Mountain Lodge. "Hello there and welcome in," came a booming voice from behind a giant wood-carved statue of a bear. For a second, Levi and Ivy thought the statue was talking until a man with a big gray beard and a pleasant smile popped out from behind it. "The name's Mr. Frost, and this is my lodge," said the man as he waved to Ivy and Levi. He was larger than life, like everything else they had seen since they arrived, and he offered to show them and their parents around the lodge since it was their first time visiting. "That would be great," said Levi and Ivy's dad. "How about we check in and you two get a tour of the lobby area, and then your mom and I will join you." "Sounds great, Dad," said Levi and Ivy together as they followed Mr. Frost to a huge wall of windows that looked out at the mountain. He was so excited to share all he knew about the mountain and the lodge, with the hope of making sure they had the best vacation possible. Mr. Frost told Levi and Ivy the best snowboarding and skiing trails, what time ice skating opened at the lake, where to rent snowshoes, and how to make his famous caramel s'mores at the campfire that the lodge offered every night. This place couldn't be any better, said Levi as he looked around in amazement. I never want to leave. Me either, said Ivy. I can't wait to start our vacation adventure and do it all. As they talked about snow tubing and the snowball fight competition they have every Friday night, Levi and Ivy's parents walked over. They could see how excited their kids were, and it made them feel great. Thank you so much for showing them around a bit, Mr. Frost, said Levi and Ivy's mom. I didn't know they could be more excited for our vacation, but it certainly looks like they are now. My pleasure, replied Mr. Frost. If you all follow me, I'll show you to your room and tell you a little bit more about the lodge as we go. The excited group of four walked behind Mr. Frost as he told them the lodge's history and pointed out important things along their walk, like where the arcade and ice cream shop were located. My family has owned this lodge for as long as I can remember, began Mr. Frost, and I couldn't imagine working anywhere else. This place is so much more than a snow-covered mountain retreat for skiing or a frozen lake for skating. It's magical, and everyone finds their own magic when they're here, and I can't wait to hear what kind you find. Once they reached their room, Mr. Frost said goodbye and assured them that they would see him around. As he disappeared down the hall and around the corner, Levi and Ivy looked at each other with sparkle in their eye, each one excited to find out the magic that was waiting for them just outside the lodge. While their parents got the room set up, Levi and Ivy asked if they could take a walk around. We won't go far at all, assured Levi. We'll stay right around the lodge. We promise. Yep, we'll be back in time for lunch, added Ivy. Well, okay, answered their mom. Just don't wander far, please. We won't, called out Levi and Ivy as they zoomed out of the room. They were outside in no time and took a moment to just stand still and take in everything around them. And that was probably the last minute they were still for the whole vacation. They could feel the magic all around them. It sailed along on the crisp, cold air and wrapped around them like a blanket as the wind blew. Levi and Ivy hurried off to find adventure as they walked toward a snowy forest that was right next to their lodge. They couldn't believe how beautiful it was. Icicles dangled from tree limbs, making their whole forest look like it was made of shimmering crystals. A light snow tickled their noses as their boots crunched through the snow that lay on the ground. Everything is so shiny, said Ivy as she spun around in the snow. I'm starting to see the magic Mr. Frost was talking about. I know, I feel like I'm in a winter dream world, said Levi as he picked up some snow and made it into a snowball. And if you make a snowball, you're going to want to throw it. So since Ivy was the only other person around, Levi set his sights on her and started a snowball fight. The two kids laughed and ran along a snowy trail, tossing snowballs back and forth at each other. Then suddenly, they realized something amazing just in front of them. Levi grabbed Ivy by the shoulder and spun her around to see what he was looking at. An icy lake stretched out before them. It looked like a mirror reflecting all the beauty around them. Now that's magic, whispered Levi to Ivy, who couldn't believe her eyes either. Then they heard something. Actually, ice-covered lakes are pretty common around here. I'm a little more magical than that. At least I like to think I am, said a little voice from behind them. Thinking it was another kid who was staying at the lodge, Levi and Ivy turned around quickly to say hello. But what they saw next was something they didn't expect. You're a fox, shouted Ivy when she and Levi focused on who was talking. Absolutely right. You know your forest animals very well. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Blizzard, said the friendly fox with a smile. Wow, you are definitely more magical than the ice skating lake, said Ivy before she introduced herself and Levi. This is so cool, exclaimed Levi. Mr. Frost said we'd find our own magic here, but I never thought it would be a talking fox. I felt the same way when I found out humans could talk, giggled Blizzard. Now enough with all this talking. How about we do a little skating? Blizzard then glided out to the center of the lake and did a few of his best ice skating moves. Levi and Ivy were about to follow until they remembered that they didn't have on ice skates. Well, that's until they looked at their feet and noticed Blizzard had turned their boots into ice skates with little snowy forest magic. So off they went. The three new friends skated around for a bit, sliding on the icy surface of the lake and enjoying the cool breeze and beautiful sights around them. We're having so much fun, Blizzard, said Ivy. Thank you for the ice skates. No problem, said the funny little fox as he glided past them. When you're done here, I'd love to show you the snowy fort I've been working on. It's just right at the edge of the lake. Levi and Ivy loved forts, and after a few more slips and slides, they were ready to go check it out, magically turning their ice skates back into boots. Levi and Ivy only took a short walk with Blizzard before they were at the coolest snow fort they had ever seen. "I tried to make it look like Snowy Mountain Lodge," said Blizzard, sounding very proud. "I think I did a pretty good job." "Pretty good? This fort is incredible!" exclaimed Levi. "I think you could start renting rooms out here for sure," said Ivy with a smile. "Aw, thank you," said Blizzard. "I worked really hard on it." "You know, we're pretty good at making things out of snow too," added Levi, looking at Ivy. "That's right, we won the neighborhood snowman building contest the last 2 years," said Ivy. "Well, let's do it," exclaimed Blizzard. "I was just thinking that my fort needs a big snowman outside." So without any hesitation, Levi and Ivy got started making the best snowman any of them had ever created. Once it was done, Blizzard stepped back and gave it a look. He paced around it as he swung his fluffy tail back and forth and twitched his little red ears. "I hope he likes it," whispered Levi to Ivy as they waited for their new friend's reactions. "I love it!" shouted Blizzard. "I love it so much, but I think it needs just one more thing." So with a swish of Blizzard's fluffy tail, Levi and Ivy felt a cool breeze, which got stronger and stronger. The snow on the ground swirled all around and around their snowman, and before they knew it, their snowman was alive. Levi and Ivy were stunned yet again as Blizzard introduced them. "Levi, Ivy, I want you to meet, I guess you have to give him a name first. After all, you two built him," giggled Blizzard. "How about Snowy?" suggested Ivy. "Snowy it is," replied Blizzard. "Levi and Ivy meet Snowy." Levi and Ivy stepped towards the huge snow creation and said hello. Hey friends, that's the end of part 1. Come back soon for part 2. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the story and learned a little something too.
And since we know everyone has their own story, we'd love to hear yours.
If you have an idea for a Lively Lewis story, leave a comment on our Apple Podcast review page with 5 stars, your idea, and your little one's name.
Then maybe our next adventure will be with you.
Until our next Storytime Hangout.
Thanks for listening. We can't wait to share another fun Lively Lewis story with you.